Welcome back to Insights at DDLynn Designs, y'all. We are in the finale, so it gave me some time just to leave this alone yesterday after I did part 4. This is part 5 of my advanced tutorial. This is all about technique, symmetry, geometry, etc., and just create as you go. And that's exactly what I'm doing. So I want to show you what I did. I actually pulled out some of the wires because I realized after I had some time to think about it how I wanted to shape the wire. I had to have bare wire to do that because it would have separated my weaving. So what I did, and I'm going to show you this here, is you have to swing this out. You need to hold very firmly down here, okay? And by the way, if you're new to my channel, please subscribe. Thumbs up, everybody, if you like what I'm teaching and if you're learning from me. And your comments and feedback are really important. So I swung this way out because you need sometimes to go in the opposite direction of where you intend to go so you can get the wire to shape and move in that direction. So I'm going to swing it way out. Now, I'm not left-handed, so I'm going to try to do this way first and see how much of a curve I can get on it. You need a really deep curve. And if your stone's moving around, don't worry about that because I'm curving this in, holding very firmly on my weaving as I'm pushing it down to shape it into the inside of the stone. So I'm just going to keep doing that until I get closer and line them up. I'm going to balance out my stone here, move it back and forth, and then make sure that looks pretty kosher, pushing it down a little bit. Then what I'm going to do is grab here where my thumb is, and I'm going to make a very sharp swing on this wire. Just going to keep swinging it over. And then with the inside wire, I'm going to follow that. This is more technical than this piece. This one, I really got myself in a few conundrums. I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? But honestly, I love a challenge. I'm just balancing these out. Might pull this one up a little bit. Want them to look as symmetrical as possible on the back. So I'm going to swing this wire over. Just playing around. I'm going to turn it over and see what we've got going in the front with all these crazy wires. Okay. This one's got a lot more of a curve on it. So I'm going to open that up. It's got a wider curve. I'm going to kind of straighten it out a little bit. Maybe open this one up a little bit. Just a lot of adjusting, you know. You always want to keep lining my stone up because as it shifts until we connect it completely, it's going to make your eyes kind of go a little wonky. So I think I'm going to open up this a little bit more, rock that back. I'm just making some alignments here. Got a sharper bend on that. So what I'm going to probably have to do is bring this up. Oh my goodness, I had coffee just a little while ago. And straighten that up so I can get a bit of a more of a bend on that. Wrong pliers. Line my stone up again. Trying to soften the bend on this side. Okay. Still a little sharp, but I'm thinking I'm not going to be able to really soften that up much. So I'm going to need to tighten this up. If you can't do what you want on one side, then you compensate it for it. At least that's how I do it on the other. So I'm making a bit of a more sharper bend in here. And straighten it up. That's better. Line my stone up. So I'm going to try to slide this wire, and you can see where I unraveled it. So I have to be mindful of, and I'm looking at the gap underneath here, and that wrapping under there is pretty tight. So I've got my wire coming up in the middle, wherever your wire is coming up. And it's always harder when you're going around a curve. So I tend to use my pliers a lot just to line that wire up as I'm holding everything down firmly. And I'm going to straighten that up just simply by coming in and straightening my wires. I'm trying to make them more parallel. Do 3 wraps. Okay. And this one needs to come underneath. And if you hadn't noticed, I added wire. Slide that down. So what do I got here? 3. So I'm going to come back in on the inside. You want to leave a lot of slack when you're coming around a sharp bend like that so that you can slide your wire through and down. And that way it will help it line up. So I'm just leaving a lot of slack. Big loop in there. So I can slide it and anchor it around that wire with that sharp bend on it. Hold very firmly so you don't mess up your shape or your piece. Then you can come in with your plier and just push it down and line it up. I'm looking at my gap under here of where I can feed this wire through. I'm going to try it. If that doesn't work, then I'll connect somewhere else. So that's my 3rd. Now I'm going to come here, open up a little bit. Just opening it up a little bit so I can get my plier down in here, holding firmly, and just snuggle everybody down. And I still need to come down some. There we go. I just felt it slide in. You just straighten up that wire. Got a little crooked. I'll do that a little later. Okay. So let's do some wraps over here. Got 2 feet of wire on each side. Just getting that straightened out. You have to be careful when these are loose. You know, when you have a bunch of wires that are loose and you're trying to wrap. So that was what? Need one more. So I'm going to look now at my gap space. Push that down. Push that down. And I'm going to see if I can feed it through. And this is an awful lot of wire. So I'm looking up underneath, seeing this gap here. And I'm going to feed my wire through, hopefully, up underneath that gap to the other side. See it coming out over here? So I'm just going to gently pull. Let it feed through the middle here. I'm just gently pulling it through. Need it to come up, because I don't want to kink up my wire. So it's just feeding through there. Did I not go? Yeah, I did. See what I did here. So I'm going to pull it tight, but I'm not going to do anything yet until I now feed this one through. Do I still have 3 wraps over here? I have 1, 2, 3. So I actually came out of that. I'm thinking out loud, y'all. If I ended up with 3 total, then I need to come out of this. Oh my goodness me, when you got this long a wire, it can be a little cuckoo on the brain. So I'm looking at where that other wire is, and I want to line them up as close as possible as I slowly push this through. Got to keep track of who is where, so I don't have wires intertangling. Pulling it through. Keep a healthy loop on that. Gotta watch. If you feel it catching up anywhere, stop and adjust your wire until you feel a smooth glide. There we go. So now I've succeeded on what my intention was. And I'm going to push these together. And my stone is really starting to stay center. So I'm going to push those together. And I'm going to come in. And I'm going to wrap around this one, the inside wire, twice. We're essentially hiding it instead of wrapping over the top of all these wires, and then you have to see that thin wire on top of that heavy gauge wrapping wire. We're hiding it underneath and connecting them together. I'm going to slide this down. Move my stone over so I can see how everything's lining up. Okay. Then I'm gonna, let me see. I think I want that a little tighter. So I am going to come out of that first coil. I'm going to pull it in even tighter and then cinch it down. Better. Then I can snuggle everybody up. Okay, we should have, without all these wires in our way, this. It's going to be, you can definitely wear this double-sided. I'm going to make a little alignment here with these two. Probably some of that tugging I did. So now we're going to continue weaving, and I'm going to come around, slide this down because I'm on a pretty steep angle here. I don't know if steep's the right word, but curve. And then I'm going to do three wraps. Holding really firmly, not letting anything pull up. So, same thing over here. Push my wires down so I can line them up. Okay, boy, everything's starting to really nestle in. So now I'm going to turn it around and take a look, because this is where we're going to finish off. And I'm still debating on these. I may curl them out. I don't know, but I really want to make sure that my wires are straightened up, that I have symmetry on each side, because we're going to be bringing these over. Now, if you guys have made it all the way through to the finale, you know by now I'm always thinking of different things and seeing different things as I'm going along. I could also take this wire here and bring it through the bell. And what I was thinking is of bringing one through this way, one through that way, and crossing them over and curling them in the front. Or I'm also thinking at this point, simplifying everything because it's so technical. So I'm going to continue my weaving pattern. I want to make sure they're the same width apart. Back out of that and tighten that coil up. Okay, so I did some of the weaving off camera because you don't need to watch me go over and over in that again. So I just did about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 repeats on each side. I'm going to continue to do that. I'm looking at the front now, lining up everything, and I'm calculating how much wire I'm going to need to continue wrapping this over the stone. And I'm also debating on leaving some more bare wire. I may connect off of these. So this is my whole creative process is as I'm going, I'm thinking of everything. So I'm going to continue to weave up. So you can see I've got about a 1/16 of an inch above the girth of the stone. So I'm going to weave up another, if I put this down on my board, a 1/4 inch, and then I'm going to stop, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I weaved up, and I'm sitting here thinking about what I want to do. So the first thing I'm going to do is hold very firmly, make sure everything's centered up on my stone. So look at the girth on each side of the centerpiece. Make sure everything's centered up, and I'm just going to gently push this over. So I'm just giving it a good push, but I'm holding very firmly on the back. Then I'm going to push it over even tighter. Then I'm going to push it down. Then I'm going to do the same thing over here, make sure everything is good and centered, and then I'm going to push it over. I'm kind of angling it towards the middle. And this is just, again, giving me a visual of what I can do, what I see. I'm going to turn this down, just turning it in. Okay. So we've got all this wire here and this wire here. All right. So I'm going to start over here and I'm going to push this down. And as I'm pushing it, I'm wanting the weaving and the two wires to kind of curve. So I'm going to come in with my plier and kind of turn that in a little bit because I want to push them down. And then I'm going to take this outside wire here and I'm pushing it against the stone as I'm creating a curve. Not sure where I'm going to go with all this yet, but I'm thinking about it. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to push it towards the middle. And I'm going to start curving it as I'm pushing it against the stone. And one side is always harder than the other because of how dominant we are, right? Just lining that up. You can see that they're not nestling evenly, so I've got to line up my stone. Got to push. Make sure everybody's lined up. Okay. I'm going to grab this wire here and pull it down, and then I'm going to turn this one. Just kind of follow. I may overlap it. I may cut it. This is all a work in progress. So I'm going to pull that down. I hope I don't have to do a part 6, you guys. Just follow. And I'll be trimming these. Just want to get that on the inside. Shaping, I'm just shaping everything. I'm probably not going to be able to feed that through like I did before, so we'll probably be connecting down in here. Okay, I need more of a curve, so I'm just going to pitch it up. Keeping the flat side up, I'm just turning in on that curve. I'm going to push this wire back so I can curve it even more. Okay, let's see how we're lining up here. All right. Okay, I'm going to lift up on this wire, this whole series here. And I'm going to cut them more evenly. I can see, just want to make sure this is wrapping around. They're nestling the same. This is a really technical piece, y'all. Thank God I did tutorials on it because I would not remember how I did this. Just looking at it, I'd be like going crazy in my head. I'm trying to match up the length here on these two. I'm going to curl that up even more. I'm going to keep the flat side up. I'm lifting up on these a little bit because I just had another thought of how I'm going to connect all of these. And I'll hold this inside wire and separate these two out a little bit more. Wow, it's really turning into just an incredible piece. Okay, I'm going to lift up on these. I'm just getting visuals of everything, of where I think I might want to cut, if I should cut it all anymore, until I start connecting. So I'm going to lift up because I'm going to do some weaving. I know I'm going to need to cut that down a little bit lower, but I'm not concerned about it right now. Okay. Just looking how everything is. My stone is barely moving anymore. Lift up on this wire a little bit more. This is definitely longer over here. Giving myself some working room and trim off just a little bit at a time, because the curve could be deceptive, you know what I mean? So you have to always be looking for the symmetry and how your wires are bent, if they're curved the same, because it can really throw your eyes off, like I can see right here. Just need a little, I mean, it's so subtle. Okay, so now I'm going to do some weaving, and I'm going to try to connect off. So let me tell you what my thinking process is as I get to this gap here. So let me get my little pointer. As I'm coming down and I get to where this gap is in the wire here, in between these two wraps, there's a good gap there. My intention is to weave and connect it through there. So I'm going to lift up on the inside wire so I have some working room. And I'm also watching my coils and my weaves and how that's all going to line up. And then I'm going to come up underneath. And it's the same pattern. So I'm going to do one side with you so that you can see where I'm going. And then I'll do the other side off camera. Okay, I need to line these up, so I'm going to hold them firmly. Wrong plier, but it did the job for now. You want to keep your weaves pushed up. Is that 3? That is. Now I want to look at my wires here and make sure before I connect anything off. I might want to clean these up first before I connect them. That's what I'm thinking, y'all. I think this is going to work out great. So now, as I'm coming around, I need to get closer to feed that through. So I'm looking at that, and I can see I'm going to need probably all 3 coils, and it might be a little different on each side. But the first thing I'm going to do is come in with my plier, because I can't use my hand, and just I'm holding really firmly on the back so I don't push or jackknife my little weaving, my weave 2 wires here. And I know I've got to push this down, which might line it up perfectly, and it is. So I'm going to stop at the 2 coils there, and I'm going to do this side off camera, and I will be right back. Okay, so I'm ready to connect, but before I do that, I'm going to bring in my drill, and this is a silicone disc, okay? I don't do this a lot, but when it comes to pieces like this, or like I did on this, I very gently drilled and tapered the end so it's a nice smooth transition, and then it kind of gently goes down into a little dip there, and it lays flush against the stone instead of have a really strong, or not strong, but flush edge. So they're silicone discs. I don't remember where I got them. I bought them years ago. And I'm actually going to come off that tip. And it's going to be probably hard for you to see as I narrow it down and move it on an angle. So let me show you. Because it's such a small piece, I don't really want to try to file it. But I want to do this first and clean this up with my buffer. And then I'm going to come over here and do this one. Oops, gotta be careful. If I mess it up, I'll just cut it. Need to look at them and make sure they look pretty much the same. Taper this corner here. Okay. So now I'm going to get my buffer. And I'm going to just buff this whole wire so that it's a nice smooth transition. The sides. Get my wire out of the way. Because you won't be able to get back in there after we push this down. Get a visual here in a minute. So let's go over to this side. Still need to want a nice smooth transition. Of course, once this goes in the tumbler, I tumble all my jewelry with the jewelry tumbler, not with those old rubber ones. Okay, this wire's in my way a little bit. Let me take a look. This needs to be I think from all of this, y'all, because I am big on technique, is all the different techniques we learn when we're doing, advanced work. And I think that's so critical in helping you progress. And anyone that's advanced is going to know that it's all about techniques. I'm doing this on a 45-degree angle so I can get the shape of the bottom of that one like this one. Okay, so once I push those down, it's going to be really pretty and very subtle. So I'm going to come back in on these. I may cut them, I may not, but if I'm not going to cut them before I can't get back in there, I am going to buff them out a little bit better. These I cut and shaped into a point. If you've been watching, that would have been, I think, part 2 or 3. Okay, so now I'm going to have to probably get my my little dental tool in here. And I want to make sure that I got enough gap space. I'm holding my piece firmly, but I'm just opening that up. And if it's too tight against the back and I can't feed it through, I will also lift up on those wires. So let's give it a go first, okay? So I'm going to make just a little curve and see if I can feed it through that gap. If I can't, I'll have to lift up on it. But that's what you need to do. And I can see that I'm going to have to make a super sharp, little tiny a loop on that tip, and I'm going to come up underneath this. This is really tight against my stone, and I'm going to be very mindful, and I'm going to lift up on these wires, just lift up on them a little bit. I need working room. I need to get up underneath them. So I'm just angling this. See how I'm bending this a little bit? Now I'm going to pull that out. I can see that I've got gap under there now. And if this isn't tight enough of a loop, I'll use my plier. Just using my hands right now. Making a little hook. I'm going to get very close to that hook. Is that where I wanted to tie off? I got to look again. Yeah. Start pushing on it. You can't see this because I'm trying to push it through. Oops, lost it. And when you have this much length, it makes it even harder. So you all know where I'm going. It's completely possible, but it can just take some time. I'm going to make even a smaller little bend in that and see if I can hook it through that way. There we go. I needed to make, as long as I don't lose it from behind, I needed to make a smaller hook. Now I'm kinking my wire up. I can feel it up underneath there, but I jackknifed it. Oh, fiddly-dee. I'll get it. I always do, but I don't want to keep you guys in suspense here. Because it takes time. It takes time to get it to do what you want it to do. So I'm going to do it off camera because this could take me 10, 15 minutes. I'll be right back. Okay, you guys, I'm popping back in because I got it through. I told you you can. You just have to be really patient. And I'm going to start lining up my, you see there? I got it through. See that wire sticking up? It just is a real bugger. That's all I got to tell you. You got to have a ton of patience. And then I'm going to pull really tight. And that's going to connect it. So it's coming underneath both wires. I'm going to come back in between, and then I'll do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to wrap around my little wire here, the inside one, and then I'm going to coil. It's a bugger, I got to tell you. It's a real bugger. I'm just going to do 2 for right now because I'm not sure what I'm going to do on this next part. So we are firmly connected. It's amazing. It's just amazing. Your stone shouldn't be shifting anymore. Line this up, line that up. So I'm going to work on the other side now because it's super frustrating. I'm just being honest with you. Maybe it doesn't frustrate you, but when I got to get in these little tiny spots, I just go bonkers sometimes. So I'm going to do the same thing. I know where I need to come in. I've got good gap. I can see that. So I don't really need more gap, but what I have to do is lift up on these. So this is a carving knife I've had forever. I used to make Native American flutes, very traditional Cherokee Native American flutes. I did a lot of Native American industry due to the influence of a very dear friend of mine who has moved on to the other side. And he taught me so many incredible things that I incorporate into my work today. And I have a feeling this side might be easier if I'm not talking out of turn. It's all about direction, right? Well, I almost got it, so I'm not going to bore you with that. I'll be right back. Okay, so I've successfully connected both of these on the inside weaved wires of part of our frame. And it's giving me some time also to think about, do I want to connect it through again? Do I want to weave down again? And again, I'm looking at that gap space. So I'm going to lift up on these because I need some working room, being very gentle about it. But I don't want to lift up on my whole piece up here, so my index finger is holding that down very firmly. Just lifting up on it. Need to get up underneath it so I can see if I can feed that through that gap in there. So I'm going to do 2 wraps. I'm going to try. These are the real technical parts that just make you go crazy. So I'm going to come around over here and wrap around my inside little wire here. I don't like to move things around too much once I got my shape and stuff. It has everything to do with the piece that I'm working on. So I've got my 2 wraps. I'm going to take a look again to see if I can pull this off because it has to go here and there, and I'm just not sure. That is pretty tight spot. So as before, we would be I'm just looking at that and thinking, can I get up underneath it? I know I've got the gap. It's just so tight. And depending on how much I lift up underneath that stone. So let's see. Now what I could do in lieu of that idea is I could bring this over all three and tuck it in between the loops. Do you see what I'm saying? So that might be better because I may be able to feed this wire straight through. I need to push everything back down to try that. I just want a really good connection. I'm going to cut my end so it's nice and clean. There's no little waves in it. I'm going to show you a little technique. Even though it's a very thin wire, if you come to the tip with your flat nose and you just flatten that out, give it a good squeeze. It will really flatten out the roundness when you're trying to get up underneath something, because I don't want to really lift this up anymore. I'm going to see if I can get up underneath it, and I can. It just slid through there, it just glided right through. Now I'm not going to pull it through really tight until I get the wire lined up to where I want it. So you need to keep a healthy loop on it. I need to line this up where I want it to go. So I'm pulling very slowly because I don't want it crossing over other wires. I want it to come in between. So I'm very, very slowly till I can see that it's going to hook in, and it did. And that's cool. That looks good. I'm going to flatten that out, and I mean I'm pushing down and pulling really tight so it just incorporates into the design. Then on the outside here, I'm going to lift up on this. I'm going to make five. I'm just going to stop there. I'm just tying off at 5. So the same thing over here. We're going to be done here pretty soon, you guys. I knew this was going to take an hour, if not a little bit more, because of all the little tiny details of getting the wire where you want it. I'm cutting off any weird wire on the end, any waves. Coming in with my flat nose and just flattening that wire out. Putting memory in it of where I want it to lay down on my piece. Wherever you can get it through is where you should push it through. Now this one is tighter. So I'm going to see. There we go. And you know what, you guys? These wires on the bottom, I'm snapping off. I've left them on there a long time because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So I'm getting this up to where I want to line it up. So I'm going to slide it up underneath these coils a little bit more. As I'm pulling it through, I want it to line up. It's got to go up higher. It's anchored down too low. The wire underneath, I want to get it up underneath that coil. Line it up where I want it. There we go. I'm going to hold and slowly pull, watching where I'm lining up. I want it on the same angle as the other side. So now I'm rocking it down. Got to get it down just a little bit more. I want it right in the gap. There's a little loop. There's a gap between those wraps down in there. Putting my finger on top of it so the wire doesn't move and pull. I literally felt that lock in. Just my wraps up here. And then I'm going to do my 5 wraps. Okay, we're gonna probably tie off on the back and coil these all the way through. So I'm debating with this wire here to feed it through one more time and tie it off. Or I love it in this position, right? I just don't want it to have the opportunity to lift. So if you guys remember, I don't remember what part this was, how when we were bringing this wire up and over, we connected inside of these open gaps. I've got enough wire to do that, so I'm not going to do that on camera. I'm going to recommend, because we already did that, so you should know what I'm talking about. I'm going to coil up until I get to the open gap here, okay? So I'm going to coil up until I get to that, and I'm going to run it through one more time, and then I'm going to feel more secure about it, and then we're going to connect these on the back. Now, I had cut over 2 feet of wire when I added wire in when we started weaving back here, and I'm almost through it, and I probably will be very close to that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to coil, and I'm going to keep coiling until it comes around this leg on each side. So I'm going to do that off camera, and I'll stop when I get ready to connect. So I'm popping back in real quick. I'm going to have to add wire, y'all. So I just wanted you to see what I coiled. I also came back in and connected 2 more times, and it is just in there solid. I'm just loving the way this is turning out. I'm going to tilt these in a little bit more, put a little bit more of a curve on them. But I'm just loving the way this is turning out. I sure hope you are if you've stuck with it, because it's a magnificent piece. I do ask that if you share my work, I'm going to copyright it below, that you please credit me, because this is original. It's all in my mind. It's not from anything I've seen, because I couldn't do it anyways. I can't sketch. The same with this one. I just play. And it just ends up being where it does. So this is really, to me, amazing. But anyways, I'm going to bring in more wire until I can get enough coils to where I can connect down here. And I look like, let me do a quick test, because I often test my wire before I totally commit. So I'm going to do a few more wraps here. Tighten those up really good. And let's see, I should definitely be able to even them up. Okay, let's see. Holding very firmly as I'm pushing that down. And now I'm going to roll the wire in the direction that we coiled it on, just to tighten it up. So let me do a quick test, and I sure can't wait to get your feedback, everybody, because we're going to connect these on the back. And this may be enough for me just to bring in my extra wire, and it will. So that's the goal right there, okay? And same thing over here. I'm going to turn around to the front, make sure my stone is lined up. I'm going to have to bring in wire, but this is what you should have. It's wildly intricate. I mean, wildly intricate. Well, it is to me, right? Okay, so I am going to bring in wire, because we're going to be tying these off here. Again, coming up underneath and connecting them. So I'm debating if I want, got a little bit excess here that I can use so that they're just, let me see, they're both on the edge there. I'm debating on shaping them now and then bringing in my wire. So you know what? I think I'm going to do that, y'all. I'm going to really push these together. Let me get all this paraphernalia out of the way. Yeah. I'm thinking, you guys, how I want to start it. God, it's just a really incredible piece. Oh. Okay. I'm just thinking, and thinking about how much wire I'm going to need. And I've got a lot of scrap here. It would probably work, but I don't want to run out. So I'm going to grab my spool, and I'm going to cut about 14 inches. When I'm doing pieces like this, I need the working wire. And I want this to come through this way, hoping that I'll be able to do that, or I'll be wrapping it around it. So like in the front, you know how we finally just went over all the wires? Looking at that. Okay, I'm going to stop there. I might have to unravel one, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold very firmly. You can use your plier to do this too. I'm going to pull this wire up higher. So I'm pushing it up higher because I want it to go down. So I'm giving myself some working room. I tend to do a lot with my hands, but I'm going to use the plier for this, but I'm going to try not to make a really sharp bend. Just want to roll it, and I can feel it really pushing against the stone. So I can slide these back. Let me get some wire for this side. So that's our goal. I can definitely see, sorry, I just put a piece of wire in my mouth. I need to curve this off even more. Slide those back. And I may come up underneath and just wrap around the whole thing. Need to tighten up on that curl. All right, let's lift that up. What direction am I coming from here on this wire I brought in? This one's underneath. Oh my goodness, I'm getting hooked up on everything. Okay, let me take a look. I might pull some coils out on this side. Sorry, you guys, if I was out of camera. Let's see what we got going. Got a sharper bend here. So I need to pull this up. I may just sharpen that bend over there. Let me see where they're resting on here. I need to come out. You and I are all going through this together. Straighten that out. Oh my goodness, I just snapped my wire. So let me slide that out of there. Those coils I just brought in. I actually probably could get away with not having those in there at all and wrapping it. I'm always changing my mind. I've got too sharp of a bend on here. So I'm going to come out of that and I'm going to try to roll it in the direction that I want it to go. And now I'm going to put a sharper one on this one. That's much better. I'm glad I pulled those coils out. I wasn't liking them anyways. So I think what I'm going to do is leave these here. I'll snap them off later, and I'm going to wrap this around, and we will be firmly connected. I want to make sure everything's lined up. I need to turn this side up a little bit more. Just bringing it up. I'm going to push this higher up on my stone because I have more room up there. There we go. I'm trying to get it to kind of nestle in this curve here. Yep, much better. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring wire through here. I didn't need all that length now. I think I might be able to get away with these shorter pieces. Nah, I'm going to use it just to be on the safe side. I get a little paranoid. And I'm going to make three coils. And I'm going to slide them up. Where's my wire? We're almost done, y'all. Okay. And I'm looking at where I'm going to want to connect. And I can see that I want to come down about, if I start counting from this wrap here, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So my goal is to come right about here. So this wire is really too long. I'm pretty sure I can't feed it straight through there. I'm going to have to probably lift up on it. I am. Now, the other option is, which is going to be a lot easier, is instead of trying to feed it through there, which is the most difficult and a wee bit frustrating is to take it completely under the piece and come in between the two wraps that are going over, so you'll just have this. So I'm going to do that because that just makes more sense to me and less frustration. So before I even do anything, I'm going to line this up where I want that wire to sit. And I'm very gently pulling. I'm just leaving it semi-loose. I'm adjusting it with my finger, sliding my coils down where I want everything to nestle. Having it in between those wraps in the middle where it just locks in those coils. And then I'm going to wrap 3 times. I'm going to lift this up a little bit so I can push these all together. So we have that. Then I'm going to come in, straighten that up, and just gently push it into the wire. We're almost done. Yay. I'm going to snap this off, little tiny piece, and I'm going to snap this off. We don't need him anymore. I will snap this off. Okay, so let's do this side. And I came over, so I need to put the wire under, right on the bend. So let's tighten up and bring my wraps together. I want to line them up with this side. Oops, wrong direction. No, that's right. Did I go over, under, over? I guess it really doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm going to line this up. 1, 2, 3. I came in between 3 and 4. Bring my coils down a little bit. Came right in between those two. So this has got to go down. Keeps wanting to slide up. It's the way I'm holding the wire. Okay. Just want to make sure my positioning is the same. Gosh dang it, I got this little guy over here that I keep yanking on poorly. I got to come up one. Right there. That's where I want it to be. So I'm going to cut this end because I can feel it's all got a bunch of bends in it, holding my wire in the position that I want it. As I bring it through, watch you don't kink it like me. I'm leaving a gentle loop in there, just gently loose. I want to line it up. It's got to be a little bit more underneath. Let me get my tool. See, I can adjust it that way, then slide it back to exactly where I want it. Right in between these two wraps. I'm going to pull really tight. This one has to be snuggled in. There we go. Now it's in there tight. Okay, then I'm going to do 3 wraps. I'm going to snap this off. So now I'm thinking about how I want to tie these off, and I think I'm just going to loop them in right here. If I have enough space, I'm just going to pull them forward to see. Be very, very tiny amount of space. We could tie off again, just to be super secure, because we've only got one wrap holding that in. So you know what, y'all? I'm going to do that. Same thing, but I'm going to do 4 wraps. See where it lines up. That's good. I'm going to feed it through wherever I can get it to go through. Leave it kind of loose right there until I get it lined up to where I want it to go. Yeah, I feel much better about securing this twice. Get it in the position that I want and pull really tight and do 3 wraps. Yep, much happier with that. So same thing here. I'm going to wrap one more time. I'm going to put some memory in that wire, flatten it down to where I want it to be positioned. And that's really what you're doing. You're putting memory in it. Just saying, I pushed you down here. This is where I want you to go. Please remember. Okay, let's feed this through. Leave it relatively loose till you get it lined up to where you want it. Pull through. Let's see. Am I positioned where I want? I am now. Hold firmly and pull. Okay, we are almost done. So I've got 3 wraps. Let's take a look. This is so secure now. I am going to press all through my piece. Just really make sure everything is tightened up. And then I think if I have enough space here, I can curl this right in. It's just going to really meet. It's going to meet the coils. So let's try that. The other option is just to take it and loop it down here. But I think I'm good. So I'm going to leave about... I'm going to take off. I'm going to leave more than what I need so I can get a visual. So I'm going to leave that. And I'm thinking that should be good. I'm going to snap this wire. Come over here. And I'm going to snap this wire. Holding super firm, putting a tremendous amount of pressure on this when I hold it. So this side is more tapered. I'm just going to do a little very gentle without compromising my weave. Okay, I'm going to cut this. This one's longer. This is our back, which could be double-sided, y'all. Okay, all I'm going to do is take the tip and I'm going to fold it in and gently kind of tuck it underneath. And the same thing here. Take that tip and fold it in. Kind of pushing it underneath there. Wow, you guys. It's done. Wow, what an accomplishment. This was definitely more technical than this one, but they're both just amazing to me. They make me think of India and temples and Aztec and Egyptian, and all sorts of things are going through my mind. So everyone, thank you so much for all of you that stuck it out. I'll straighten my bell out here. And really gave it a try. I'd love to get your feedback, hear your challenges, and love to see your work. If you would like to post it on my facebook.com/DDLynn Designs, that is where I post all my new work. Thank you, everyone, for being a part of this magical ancient art of wire. I wish for all of you all that you wish for yourselves. May you have a magical wire wrap day. Bye for now.